Welcome. Oh, let me get my theme music. Let me get some theme music. All right. Hey, hey, hey. Let's get it. Let's get it. All right. If you're on TikTok, give me some likes. They'll invite more people if I get some likes. But in the meantime, let me get me some theme music. I guess I'll get a little Sade. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Little Sade, because y'all, I'm a Sade. All right, give me some likes on TikTok just so they can invite more people. Um, so tonight we got a good one. We got a good one, y'all. Oh yeah. Hey, all right, y'all. Here we go. Here we go. Oh yeah. All right, that's enough because they'll take my live down. All right, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome for joining. Thank you for joining the doctor tonight, aka Coach Kid. I set the internet a storm yesterday. Didn't I? Hey, look, I'm gonna talk about that tonight. How I set the internet a storm on Facebook and Instagram. Ooh, I made some folk mad yesterday, but y'all know I love it. All right, but before we get into all that, y'all know we have to do what we normally do. If you could tell me who you are and where you're checking in from, because I got all my networks going here. I got my TikTok over here. I got my Instagram over here. I got Facebook and YouTube in front of me. So I'd like to know who's checking in today, and tell me where you're checking in from. Blue, Louisiana. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, Lancaster. Is that Lancaster, Maryland, South Carolina? I don't know. We got Fayetteville, North Carolina in the building. We got Kimia. It's Kimia. I just don't want to pronounce it wrong. From VA, Kathy from Cali in the building. All right, Detroit, Michigan in the house. Rochester, New York. Oh, that is California, Lancaster, California. Thank you for joining me. We got somebody from Houston, Texas in the building. Bristol, Pennsylvania. All right, y'all. Thank y'all. We got Carmen from Tampa. We got someone from the A. I'm going to be in the A tomorrow. I got an interview for a podcast tomorrow. Listen, thank y'all for coming out. I appreciate y'all. Let me know where you coming from, where you calling in from, where you checking in from. You're not technically calling in. All right. But tonight, listen, y'all. Y'all know I've been doing this whole for the last 2 weeks. I've been on this self-love thing. But tonight, I am going to talk about trauma, 4 traumas that could be affecting your relationship. I'm going to identify the traumas that you may have had as a child, that you may have perpetuated as you were growing up. Men and women, y'all, I'm going to break it down and help you to understand why your your relationships may not be working. So y'all got to stay with me tonight because some of y'all want to get in great relationships, but some of you need to understand. Now, I'm not a therapist. I'm a certified professional relationship coach. I am not a therapist. I use therapy, but I'm not a therapist. I actually don't want to be a therapist. I have a love-hate relationship with therapists. I love therapists, but the difference between a therapist and a coach, since you brought it up, I got to tell y'all, I am a certified coach, life and relationship coach. The difference is from a therapist and a coach. Here's why. A therapist helps you identify your emotions, how you got here. And they're good at churning through those emotions. I love many therapists, but there are some, but my problem with some therapists is, let me tell you what the difference is. A coach. A coach is, I will use therapy, help you identify how you got here, but a coach will help you get to where you're going. And many therapists who are not the greatest, I've worked with, people have come to me, that they keep you in this emotional hole. Okay. The difference is results, just so you know. All right, y'all. You always got some people always want to say something, but I agree. The difference is results. I love something. I love therapists, but that's the difference between a coach and a therapist, in my opinion. So you do what you want to do with that. Anybody else? So tonight, um, I'm not. Hey, listen. I want you to come on. I love therapists, but some of them keep people mired in the emotions that got them there. If you want to stay in that sadness, that habitual trauma, that traumatic emotion, and never move them beyond that probably is not you. But I do see therapists doing that, and the people come to me saying, I did not get results. Now, there are some therapists that I know that I recommend who get results. But the reason that is true, whether you believe it or not, I don't care whether you believe it. This is my life. So if you don't believe it, you don't have to watch. But anyway, so I didn't get in here to get on to that. That ain't it. I came here to help y'all look at what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about 4 types of trauma that many people experience that could be affecting you in your relationships. All right, that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And if for those who want to debate my credentials, go somewhere else. All right, I've been doing this 15 years, so and I've gotten plenty of results. So all that other stuff, I'm not getting in. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. What we're gonna do is tonight we've been talking about this whole self-love thing, and you all know that I stated last week that I believe that self-love is essential when it comes to finding romantic love. I explained that last week for 2 ways. I explained that talking about, especially, we are energy. Every human being, we're all energy. And we all exude a certain amount of energy, right? And if you look at the human specimen under a powerful microscope, you will notice that we are all moving. We are all moving. Our cells are regenerating. We are all moving. We are all vibrating at a certain frequency. I explained that the reason we're vibrating, we all emit energy. Our thoughts are energy. Our words are energy. You ever notice, you ever been around a person, y'all, and then you say, I just don't like their vibe. You ever been around that? Well, that comes from vibration, short for vibration. Now, we're all vibrating at a certain frequency. Now, words vibrate at a certain frequency. Gratitude, love, sorrow, shame all vibrate at a certain frequency. Okay? Unconditional love vibrates at 900 megahertz. Now, I want you to think about that. Gratitude vibrates at 600 megahertz. Okay? Now, shame vibrates at 30 megahertz or less. Now, you might say, well, coach, what does that have to do with love? Let me explain it to you. What's up, Stacy? Hey, bro, good to see you, man. All right, so you might wonder, what does that have to do with romantic love? Here's what it has to do with. You see, what happens is we are attractors. We are attractors in our life. We are reflectors that attract. Okay. Now, you ever notice how they say misery loves company? That was a saying that people came up with, right? But the truth of the matter is, misery attracts other misery into their lives. Why is that? Because not only are we energy, we attract the energy that we emit, but we are also reflectors, right? We are reflectors. We reflect onto the world what's in us, who we are. If we are love, we reflect love into the world, okay? If we are pure, good energy, we reflect that unto the world. But you ever notice how whatever you reflect unto the world comes back to you? All right. It comes back to you because of that energy we talked about. All right. And so that energy, that is why, y'all, think about this. That is why misery loves company. That's why they say misery loves company, because the people who are miserable are attracting other people because they're on the same frequency. They're on the same vibrational frequency. And so when you think about it, people who love, who are loved, they attract people that want to love them. Why? Because they're on the frequency of love, right? And so when I teach all of the people that I coach, the reason I'm so successful at helping people get into relationships and stay in relationships, today, 2 people that I coach got into committed relationships today. They started with me 6 months ago. And I told them 6 months ago, I said, the first thing that we have to do 2 things. Number 1, we've got to change your mindset. And we've got to change. And number 2, we've got to change your vibrational frequency. Because if we don't change your vibrational frequency, you cannot attract the love that you seek. And they were, at first, it was foreign to them. And then all of a sudden, they begin to embrace the idea. So I want to tell you something, and I want to get started. I'm getting started, y'all. I already got crunk now. You see, the truth is, change does not happen. Transformation cannot happen unless we first introduce the thought. Everything starts with a thought. Everything starts with a thought. The computer screens I'm looking at started as somebody's thought. The phones that I'm looking at started as somebody's thought. Though they were on a certain vibrational frequency to learn this kind of stuff. And so when I explained it to her, when I explained it to both of those ladies who got into relationships today, I said, what we're going to do, I am going to show you how how the attractor factor works. And the attractor factor works because if I'm willing to change your vibrational frequency and your mindset, you can have what it is you seek. You can have what it is you seek. Can y'all hear me well? Because somebody said no sound. I just want to make sure if you can hear me well, give me the thumbs up or say yes or whatever. I just want to make sure because somebody said no sound. Okay. Appreciate you, Stacy. All right. Thank you. All right. So tonight, the reason I've been dealing with the whole self-love thing is because, listen, y'all, it is called resistance. Many of us are not getting the love we want. We are attracting people in our lives. And you say, why do I keep attracting people that cheat on me? Why do I keep attracting women say I keep attracting men who are emotionally unavailable? And men say, why do I keep attracting women who are gold diggers? Or why do I keep attracting women who are not good women? And so what I tell them is, there is something about your frequency, your vibrational frequency, that needs to be altered. And then when we delve deep into what's going on in their life, all of a sudden, I isolated. I said, there it is right there. That's the belief. That's the limiting belief that is keeping you from getting the things that you want. Okay? That is the limiting belief. Now, some people say, oh, that's not true. Okay, I don't really care whether you believe it or not. All I know is the reason why my results are so high in my relationship, my last class, 15 women, this class, 21 women, the result of getting in committed relationships, not bullshit relationships, not the kind of relationships where we just smash. And I'm talking about where people say, I commit my life to you, is at 60 to 70%. Now you do the math on that. And y'all, it has nothing to do with me per se. It is all about the principles. It is all about you embracing the principles. Principles work. Stacy, don't they work? And the biblical principles work. The law of sowing and reaping works, whether your ass believe it or not. The law of gravity works whether you believe it or not. Because if you don't believe it, jump up a 100-foot building thinking you can fly. You ain't got to believe in gravity, but when your ass hit the ground and you in the afterlife, you're going to be like, oh, maybe gravity does. Maybe the principle works. And so tonight, what I want to talk about, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help some of you identify some traumas that have been preventing you from, and I'm going to break it down. Y'all know, if you watch my lives, you know I break everything down. I make it so a fifth grader can understand it, even complex things. And so that being said, when you hear it tonight, yes, I'm in a committed relationship, 21 years, married to the same woman. All right, my side chick, girlfriend, and wife. Yes, and I don't cheat. How about that? Okay, yes, I am who I say I am. So let me get back. Sometimes, y'all, I got to do that. I have to for the rest of y'all. Somebody got to be a sacrificial lamb for everybody else. All right, so let's get started. And then once I tell you the four types of trauma, I'm going to tell you what to do afterwards. But let's first dive in. The reason why understanding your trauma is important, and the reason why that is important is because we go through life, y'all. I want y'all to understand. I'm going to break this down. All right, let me go through life. So from the third trimester in your mother's belly to the age of 7 years old, okay, you don't have a subconscious mind. All right, there are two types of the way your brain works. There are two types. You have your conscious mind, which are conscious thoughts, okay? And then you have your subconscious mind. Now, you think of your subconscious mind as your filing cabinet that houses all of your experiences, all of your emotions, everything, all of the things that you think about, think of your subconscious mind as like the program that you operate off of, okay? And so from the third trimester in your mother's belly to 7 years old, your subconscious mind, or some call it your subconscious programming, is being formed, okay? So what you do is you look to the world around you because you don't know what to base it on. You look to the world around you to determine how you should feel, how you should move, how you should receive information. So if you see your parents in a relationship that doesn't work, if you see other people around you telling you, hey man, go on out there and get you a girlfriend or two or three. You're being programmed, you're being conditioned to a way of living. All right? Do y'all understand this? And so then what happens is imagine if your parents don't love you in a way that they're supposed to. All right. Then trauma is inflicted onto the child, even though the parents may not be aware of it. Okay. And then what happens is the child grows up and the child is navigating the world based on the conditioning or programming that they've received. And some of the conditioning that they've received is laced in trauma. And so what I want to do, and so then they grow up and then they become 20-year-old, 30-year-olds, and then they get in relationships. And then the relationships aren't working. And what they're doing is perpetuating certain things within the relationships, but they don't know why. They don't know why they have an anxious attachment style. They don't know why they get upset when the person doesn't call back, or they don't get a call at night before they go to bed, or they don't get a call in the morning before they rise. They don't understand that. They don't understand why people don't understand. And you ever said something like this to somebody, just leave the relationship. They're not treating you right, just leave. And you don't understand why they stay in the relationship. And so tonight, I am going to explain it to you. And so then you will have grace for people. Then say, maybe some of you, and some of you then, now that you understand this is affecting me, you can go get the help. You can find someone, a therapist or a coach that helps you navigate through it. Okay? That is the reason why. And so then I am going to tell you, if y'all hang around, I'm going to tell you the first step that you need to do. All right? So let's get busy. The first type of trauma that you need to think about, that many times happens as a child, and some scientists call it adverse childhood experiences. This is how they label it. And so one of the first traumas is what we call rejection trauma. Now, rejection trauma is born out of many times out of when you were young in the home where you felt like you were being pushed away by one or more of your parents. You felt like that for some reason or another. It might be when you wanted attention. Hey, would you play with me? Would you play with me? Hey, Dad, would you play this game with me? Would you shoot basketball with me? And Dad says, I'm busy. Now, Dad is working, but Dad doesn't know, unbeknownst to Dad, that what happens is he keeps saying that. And then what the child does is the child begins to get accustomed, to get conditioned to the rejection as a part of their life. Ooh. And then they grow up and then they see similar behavior. They see similar behavior. And then when they see similar behavior in their relationships, now what they do is they reject that. They accept that as rejection trauma. And so now it's funny because when I was, when I used to do research on stuff, I went back to some research that I had done. I remember in 2015 that there was a research paper, and I wrote this down, that was done, research paper in the Dialogues in Clinical Neuroscience. It examined the emotions that people feel when they perceive they are rejected. Now, notice what I just said. I said when they perceive that they are rejected. And so the rejection may not be real from the other person's point of view, but the rejection is real to the person because they've experienced this rejection trauma. And so they begin things as, does this sound like anybody else in here? Does it sound like you? They examine emotions where you feel guilt, you feel shame, you feel excessive jealousness. Then you feel socially anxious, and sometimes you even feel embarrassed about being around the person. Now, does that sound like anybody on this call? And so what happens is, I want you to think back. I want you to think back. And I want you to think back when you were young. And you could have experienced rejection trauma. It didn't have to necessarily come from your parents. It could have come from figures who had influence on you, who had influence in your life at the time. And then whether you know it or not, this trauma it stuck. It stuck into your subconscious programming. And so your subconscious programming began to accept it as, people are going to reject me. Y'all, listen, I'm going to help some people tonight. I am going to help some people tonight. Tonight's topic is four traumas that people experience that might be affecting their relationship. That's the topic of the night. And I talked about the first one is relationship trauma. Now, I want to share with this you. So then, here's the deepest part, y'all. The deepest part is you get in a relationship when you're 20, 30 years old, okay? Then somebody leaves you. But what happens is you internalize that as, that's just reinforcement of the rejection I deserve. And so now, what happens is it just keeps continually, the cycle continues. It reinforces the rejection trauma all over again. And now what you're really saying is, I don't deserve love. But you're not saying it, but you said it subconsciously, y'all. This is so powerful. The reason why I know it's powerful is because a lot of y'all listening to me tonight, are going through the very thing, but you don't understand why you can't have a successful relationship because you haven't dealt with the trauma, because you didn't know you had it. And that's the reason why I wanted to do it tonight. You didn't know you had it. A lot of times, y'all, I'm going to be honest with you. a lot of times I say stuff. And y'all been watching my videos, and the truth of the matter is, I'm a polarizing figure. I get it. I get it. I'm going to say stuff that's going to make people get triggered. I'm going to say stuff that makes people look at themselves differently because I had to look at myself differently. Y'all, I'll be the first to tell you, I used to be a wretched man. Stacy, I used to be a wretched man. I'd be the first to admit it. I did shit that I'm not proud of. But that is why I can do what I do today. Y'all, what God does, what God does is God will take the imperfect and perfect them to do a perfect work. God perfects people. And so why I tell y'all this, all these, and listen, you know, when people comment on my videos and they say all kind of shit, they say all kind of stuff. And so what happens is, you know why I don't take offense to it? Number one, because I love me. All right, number one. Number two, my voice about me is louder than their voice. But number three, I understand that many people who watch what I say are speaking out of their trauma. They're speaking out of their trauma, their rejection trauma. And now that when I say it, it's like a wound that you touch. When you touch the wound, oh, it's tender. And so whoever says it by the end of this live, I'm going to tell you what people do. Some people want to lash out, but I realize that they are speaking many times out of their pain. I call it their pain brain. I know really many times that, so I don't take it personal. Keep watching. Just like the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not a Dallas Cowboy fan, but you know why Dallas Cowboys are so big? Because the people either hate them or love them, but everybody watch them. All right? And so what I say is keep watching. Keep watching. Let's let the views pile up because somebody gonna get help. Somebody's gonna get transformed. The second way, the second type of trauma that people experience that might be hurting your relationship is abandonment trauma. Abandonment trauma. Now, what is abandonment trauma? Now, I have a client right now that when I broke it down, I said, you have an abandonment trauma. I said, you have abandonment. I said, that's why you have an anxious attachment style. Many times, abandonment trauma leads to an anxious attachment style. Here's why. Because when you were young, you felt like that even though mama had to go to work, maybe dad wasn't around. And what happened was, and maybe you were left alone. Maybe you were left with some relatives. But what happens is that you feel like you're going to be alone. And sometimes when you have abandonment trauma, you feel like you're not worthy for people to be around. You're not worthy. So what do? You cling to a relationship. So when people abandon you, when you have abandonment trauma, it is rooted in, I believe that people are going to leave me. I believe that people won't stay around. I believe that. And so you many times don't even know that you have it until you get in a relationship with someone who may have an avoidant attachment style, who may not want to connect and get too close. And then what you realize is you're like, what's wrong with me? What is wrong with me? Why is it that they won't be around me? Why is it that they won't do this? Why is it that they won't do? And then you call them more. And the more you call them, the more they pull away. Because you don't understand that your attachment style is tied to the abandonment trauma that you've experienced. And so what I tell people is, first thing, let's get conscious of what it is that is causing this behavior in us. And so once we dig down deep, then what we do is, then I say, okay, the trauma is already there, right? So what we're going to do is we got to heal the trauma. So we heal the trauma by working on you. All right. Listen to what I just said. We heal the trauma by working on you, by working on your self-worthiness, by working on your self-love, by changing your self-concept. Do y'all remember last week I did a whole session on self-concept, and I broke down what self-concept is. I broke down what self-concept is three things. Your self-image, all right? It is the picture that you have of yourself. Then it is the self-esteem. Now, what people don't know is self-esteem is not quite what they think it is. Self-esteem is how you feel about the picture that's in your head. Now, listen to what I said. Because people think self-esteem is that how you feel about yourself at any given time. That is not self-esteem. Self-esteem is when you have a picture of you in your mind. How do you feel about that picture? That's self-esteem. And then I tell people, okay, maybe it's not good. Maybe you've had trauma. Maybe your image in your head is a negative image. And so this is how I get them out of it. Then I focus on the last column. It's three columns. It's self-image, okay? Self-esteem is how you feel about the image. But then I focus on the third column, which is your ideal self. And so your ideal self is your ideal self is what you want to be. Now think about this for a moment. If I can start your healing process by focusing on your ideal self is simply who you want to be. And so watch this. If I can change the ideal self, I can change the picture of the self-image. Now think about what I just said. If I can get you to focus on your ideal self, then I change your self-image. Thus, I change your self-esteem because you're going to attach different emotion to it, y'all. Y'all, this is deep. I'm trying to tell you the reason I am anointed to do this work. I know it because I've helped so many people get out. So many people get in relationships. Listen, y'all, I can't do a lot of stuff. I can't do a lot of stuff with computers, whole bunch of stuff, but I can do this. I'm great at this. And so what I've embraced is I've embraced the fact that you're great at something too. But because your self-image is tainted because of what mama did, because of what daddy did. And y'all, and those of you who've been on my live, y'all know how I broke down what a father and a mother is supposed to do. I don't have time to break that down tonight. Go check out my other live. And when I broke down what the father was supposed to give you your validation, give you your affirmation based on the lineage of the line. And then your mother was supposed to give you the unconditional love. The unconditional love was never based on the red bottoms you got. It was never based on the clothes and the makeup you had. It was based unconditionally when you poop on yourself, when you throw up on yourself. And you would have both of these tools as you went through life. But many of our fathers are not in place. Many of our fathers are not in place, and they're not giving the child the birthright. The birthright is the affirmation and the validation that the child needs to go through life to know that they are great. All right. And then the mother wasn't in place to give you the unconditional love that you were supposed to get. And see, the way God designed it is he designed it so once you got both of these things, you could tackle the world in a way that it would not matter. It would not matter what people said about you. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter who downed you. It wouldn't matter. None of that would matter. And then what would happen is you would go through life equipped with the tools that you need to succeed. But so many of us don't have the tools. But God is still good because you know what he do? He put a ram in the bush. He sent a vessel like Coach King. He sent a vessel who's imperfect. He sent a vessel who done did shit, who been through shit. And the vessel says, I'm going to anoint him to help you. And so now that I can restore you back to the factory. You know what? My computer went down the other day. My computer went down, and then it had I had a laptop. And the guy was like, he said, you want to get this virus off? I said, yeah, I want to get the virus off. He said, you got to restore it back, wipe everything off, and restore it back to the factory reset. And I was like, huh? He said, yeah, the factory reset. That's when it had no viruses on it. That's when it had any, and that's what God is trying to do for us. He's trying to make it so what we can do, the factory reset. And y'all out here, and everybody, all you want to do is talk shit about people online who trying to help you when they say something because you don't want to level up, because you don't want to self-reflect. because you don't want to look at yourself. It ain't everybody else's fault. It's the only way I could change is I had to look at me. I had to look at Ken and say, Ken, you're a wretched ass individual. You got to stop this shit. And that's what I did. And like I tell everybody, I'm going to be honest with you. Like I said, I used to be that dude. I said, look, and the truth, somebody said, well, when did you change? I said, I changed when my purpose became more important than pussy. That's it. That's it. Yep, I said it. I said it. And I'm going to be honest with you. And then I'm going to go back to the word in a minute. I'm like, listen, because I'm going to tell y'all, listen, we getting caught up in the wrong thing. We getting caught up in politically correct shit. You know what? And that ain't the way God working nowadays. He working through ministers like me. I'm not a preacher, but I'm saying the Bible says we all ministers of the gospel. And the truth is, I'm not looking for validation from y'all. I'm not looking for likes. Yesterday, I had 50,000 people look at my video. Half of them loved it and half of them hated it. But at the end of the day, it went in 50,000 eyes laid. 50,000 eyes laid eyes on it. So some of the people it ain't for. Some of the people, somebody gonna get help. Yeah. Number 3, the third type of trauma is betrayal trauma. Now, betrayal trauma is a deep one, y'all, because a lot of us are dealing with betrayal trauma. And betrayal trauma happens like this. It's kind of when someone you depended on, someone you trusted, someone you gave your trust to, and they betrayed it. It could be a partner cheating on you. That's when betrayal trauma comes into effect. It could have been your parent that didn't protect you from your uncle. It could have been the mother that when you told your mother that the boy touched you or your cousin touched you, and mama said, no, they didn't. All right? And mama dismissed what you said. And now you go through life feeling like you were betrayed, but you know what happens? You know what happens? What happens is they betray you. But then, you do what they call disassociate. Okay, disassociate your traumatic experiences. It's almost like you dismiss it. You dismiss it so that you can keep the relationship intact. So watch this, y'all. Does it sound like anybody? You dismiss it in your mind mentally. We call it suppression. You suppress it, you disassociate with it so that you can maintain the relationship with your mother, the one who didn't protect you, or with the father who betrayed you. And so what you do is, when you do this, is because you're dependent on them, what you'll do is you'll disassociate the traumatic experience. And then you go through life. And it only comes up again when someone like me starts digging around inside you. Because I got to know what's going on. I got to know what's preventing you from having the things that you want in your life. I got to know. And so once I know, now I know how to treat you. I know how to get you out of. I know we got to focus on self-love. I know we got to reprogram all of this. I know we got to do all of the things that are necessary for you to grow. I already know that. But if we don't know what it is, it's kind of like if we can't diagnose it, if we can't understand what it is remember, y'all, what did I say at the beginning? I said that your subconscious mind is responsible for 95% of your reality. And so if it's in your subconscious programming that you are this way, that you're not worthy to be loved, that people are going to leave you, that everyone's going to leave you, okay? If you're not, or everyone's going to betray you, then you can't have a happy, healthy relationship because of that blockage, of that resistance. And y'all, you can be healed. You can be healed. But the way we think about getting healing, we think about getting healing by just suppressing it. That doesn't heal you. What that does is it hides it from you until it doesn't. And so that's the part I want you to understand. And last but not least, the fourth trauma that people experience that might be affecting their relationship is humiliation trauma. Humiliation trauma. And a lot of us, when I tell you what it is, a lot of us have dealt with this. When your parents, when you never thought you were good enough, what does the parent do? You get a B, and the parents say you should have got an A. Or the parent makes fun of you because you gained a little more weight than everybody else, because you bigger than everybody else. And they say, well, I don't know why you need to try out for cheerleader. You too big. Humiliation trauma. And it might not have been your parents. It might have been a teacher. It might have been somebody that you trusted, that you thought was on your side, and they said that. They talked about you. You ain't gonna get no man. You ain't gonna get no man because look at you. You too fat, or you too ugly. You too. And think about that. And then you carry that with you. Okay. They mock you for not making enough grades, but you carry that with you. And now that humiliation trauma, what does it do? It creates more of its kind. Now you walk through life, and when you walk through life, what you do is you hide. You don't want to step out front. You don't want to run for president, and you know you should run for president. You don't want to do this. You don't want to try out for the football team because somebody said that you were fat or somebody said that you wasn't good enough. And so you've garnered this humiliation trauma, and it's inside you, and it is growing, y'all. And it prevents you from living the life that God wants you to live. It prevents you from living the life that God destined for you to live, that He designed for you to live, and you don't know. And so again, He sends Coach Ken. And Coach Ken is going to tell it to you straight because Coach Ken ain't scared. He ain't scared. I don't give a fuck what people say. I don't. Y'all, I actually laugh at some of these comments. And one dude was like, "Oh, dude, what do you know?" And you know what I said? I'm glad I got this on. I said, I'm glad I got this on. I still look good, though. And I'm smarter than you. Okay. Anyway, I get back. I digress, y'all. But y'all, even though I'm joking, I'm dead serious. And what I'm gonna tell you is this. Here's where I can't just leave you with all this and not give you the remedy. It all starts with self-love, going on a self-love journey. Y'all, I am doing a challenge, a 3-day challenge. I'm going to set some people free. For those of you who want to be free, for those of you who want to be free of the trauma, let's start the journey. For those of you who want to be free, I just want you to put in the comment section, I do. I do. I do. I need you to put in the comment section. The first thing, you cannot acknowledge what you cannot change what you don't acknowledge. You cannot change. I just want you to put I do, free, me. I just, whatever it is, I want you to put in there. And so, because here's what happens. There are some people, y'all. There are some people out there who are walking around, and I imagine there are so many things that you want to do in this life. There are so many things, but there are things that are preventing you from doing it. And the things that are preventing you from doing it are on the inside of you. The reason why I'm great at getting people to do stuff is because God has given me the intuitive nature to understand I gotta touch that person on the inside. The true you is in your subconscious. And most relationship coaches don't have a clue how to get there. They don't know how to touch your subconscious. They don't know how. Most therapists, they're not asking you the question. I don't know, they not, but some of them don't know how to get down to that subconscious program. And so let's start on this journey. So here's what we're gonna do. I put together this training. It's a 3-day challenge, and it's gonna be 8 hours worth of training, 8 to 9 hours. And what we're going to do is we're going to start, it's called the self-love experience. Because if I can get you to change your self-concept, if I can get you to change all of that, I can get you to change your actions. So what I want you to do, if you're on Instagram, TikTok over here, Instagram over here, I want you to go up to my bio, on my link tree in my bio, you click on it and you will see the self-love challenge. It's on the 29th of this month. It's for 3 days. All right? Self-love challenge. Invest in yourself. Y'all, the last challenge, we had 105 people. The last challenge was on communication. Every month, I'm going to do a different challenge. I'm going to do a different area that's going to help people get free. All right? All right. And so what I say is, thank you, baby. You say quack. You say I'm the real one. I appreciate you. But my students are going to be in there. A lot of my students are going to be in there. But I want y'all, those of you who want it. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook, I'm about to put the comment. I'm about to put the link in the comment section right here. It's kencanyonchallenge.com. All right. I'm about to put the link in the comment section. If you're on you've been following me and taking notes. Oh, thank you so much. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, y'all, what you waiting on? You know that you're living the life that you don't want to live. You're living below what you should live. God is giving you the opportunity to live abundantly. But y'all, we got to do the work. We got to do some work. I had to do work on myself. I had some things that were blocking me from my childhood. I'll tell you, I'll give you guys a real talk about me. I'm gonna be honest. A few years, about 8 years ago, I was a coach. I was making great money. But at the end of the day, I would always lose it. I would always end up at zero. I might make $50,000, but I'd end up at zero. And it wasn't until I hired a coach, and she broke this down to me. She said, the truth is you have a block when it comes to money based on what you've seen your father do. And I was like, what? I said, when we broke it down, I realized my father was in the car business. He used to make tons of money, but when he died, he didn't have a penny. And he would always go from a lot to nothing. And I didn't realize that in my subconscious programming, I had surmised that was the way it was supposed to be done. And y'all, so many of us are walking around with programming that is not serving us. So what I'm saying to you, those of you who are listening, I'm very transparent. Y'all know, those of you who follow me, I got 960,000 followers now. I thank y'all for following me. I got 960,000 followers, y'all, not because I want them to like me, but because I'm going to speak the truth. And I know how to help people transform. Period. Y'all, my TV show is coming out next month. I'm going to tell all y'all about it. I can't mention it. I filmed a TV show on a huge network, and y'all going to see Coach. Y'all going to see Coach. I'm proud of it, but I could not have been on that show had I not done the work myself. What I'm going to say to you, for those of you who want to get in this self-love challenge, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to walk into your destiny. Go up to the link tree. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, go up to the link tree, click on my bio, and you'll see self-love challenge. All right. I got a few things up there, but you'll see that up there as well. All right. I appreciate y'all. And for those of y'all on Facebook and YouTube, I got the link right here. I'm putting it in the comment section. Y'all go and do it. I am done for the night. I'm going to spend a couple extra minutes over on Instagram. If y'all want to come over to Instagram, Coach Ken Canyon, y'all can get in and talk to me. But other than that, I appreciate y'all. I think I'm going to do a live tomorrow night. I'm going to do one every night, I believe. But I gotta go interview the podcast tomorrow. But we'll see. All right, y'all. I appreciate you rocking with me, Stace. Thank you, man. Stace is my guy. He's a preacher, y'all. And his whole family, they be bringing that word. His brother, one of my best friends, y'all. I grew up, we went to college together. I love those guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Yo, all right, I'm out. TikTok, I'm out. And all right, Facebook, YouTube. I am out. Now, I'm out. And Instagram, I'm coming your way. We're going to spend some time. If y'all want to come over to Instagram, I want to join my live over there. Let's talk. You can ask me any question, comments, concerns. Let's talk. All right, y'all. Peace.